This is the High School Football America podcast for April the 23rd, 2020. I'm Jeff Fisher. The High School Football America podcast is brought to you by GameStrat, America's premier sideline instant replay system with outstanding reliability and customer service and different plans priced right for every coach's budget. To get a demo, go to GameStrat.com or click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. Heading to Southern California, my favorite place on earth. Miss it so much because there are so many great friends out there, especially in the coaching ranks, and this guy ranks right up near the top. Don't anybody else get mad at me, but Jason Negro at St. John Bosco. Not because it's a great football program, but Jason is a quality individual that I got to know very well during our time out there, and he's stepping in here. And it just dawned on me as I'm talking here, Coach, that we haven't had you on since you were unanimous national champ. So, hey, national champ, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here, like always. And, yeah, you're missing an amazing little weather stretch that we're having here in Southern California. I'm sitting in my backyard, and it's about 85 degrees in front of the pool here. And it's just really nice that you're locked up and have an opportunity to enjoy some great weather. But I don't know how you guys are doing in Georgia, but it's pretty special out here in California. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. By the way, you just dropped a notch in my algorithm. Rollo's now number one. Jason's
Rollo lives in a much bigger house than me, I'm sure. He's been around a little bit longer and has accumulated a little bit more finances. So don't feel too bad for Coach Rollo.
No, but I do have to throw a shout out to him because I texted him the other day on his birthday. I says, "Hey, happy birthday, Coach." Yeah. And I was telling him how much I was enjoying our grandkids here in Georgia. And he said, "As a matter of fact, Fish, I am at the hospital now, and my oldest daughter is giving birth to another grandkid." And I said, "Well, congratulations, what a birthday gift." So we'll throw out Rollo a happy birthday, and congrats on being a little bit older since you got another grandkid.
Absolutely. I think it's about time for him to retire, man. So turn the reins over and let us compete with someone else. I mean, I've been trying to talk to him every time I see him, telling him that he needs to enjoy being a grandpa and stepping away from coaching if he wants. So he just doesn't listen too well.
And off the record, he'll tell you that he would not know what the heck to do if he ever stepped away from the great profession of coaching. But anyway, back to the job at hand. Since it just dawned on me that we haven't talked since then, tell me a little bit about what it's been like to be the guy that finished at the top of every national ranking service. It had to be one joyous Christmas and New Year, and the party's probably still going on there in Bellflower, I would think.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride, since late November all the way through the holidays, and now all of a sudden in this unprecedented times that we're in. And the first thing that I would like to be really thankful for is the fact that we got our season in, and I just cannot imagine what these spring sport coaches and players and families are having to go through right now with, not being able to celebrate, such a joyous occasion like we were able to do. You really have an opportunity to sit back and kind of reflect on, how lucky we were and how fortunate that we were that, we're just a month and a half or 2 months away from that affecting our season. And now going into 2020, who knows what's going to happen with the start of the season. So it's been an amazing ride. We're really excited. We're a little bummed out right now because our ring production has stopped. So we haven't been able to receive our rings, but I think that will be the culminating event once we get that. But man, what an amazing 2019 we had. And I just could not be more proud of my program and my kids and the families and the entire Brave Nation. We pulled that out of a hat, but at the end of the day, we had a pretty impressive season, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt, with a great schedule and who you beat along the way, including getting the one back against Mater Dei that propelled you to the national championship. Jason Negro is on the line from St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California, and we're going to spend a lot of time looking forward here. But I do want to look back a little bit, since I said we hadn't had you on since that time. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and when we talked about this before, you do not shirk away from the question of what's it about. Yeah, you want to win the Trinity League, you want to win state, but a national championship was important to you. So now that you got that one under there, I'm assuming that you just made the bullseye a little bit bigger. Is that an accurate statement? Meaning, do it again?
I think so. Well, I mean, we're certainly going to try. I'll tell you that. I think that's something that you aspire when you get into high school. And I'm very, very fortunate. I've spoken about this before. I happen to be at a school that provides me a platform that I can compete for a national title. And there's not very many schools out there in the country that do. And I'm the first to admit as well is this is mythical. It's not like, it's all 100% settled on the field. I think in 2016, we finished number 2 in the country, but we actually played number 1 Bishop Gorman that year, and they beat us in California in a very tight ball game. But, we know it's mythical, but we know that if you put yourself in position by scheduling a really tough non-league schedule, which I think we did, playing 5 teams from out of the state of California, from DeMatha to Don Bosco Prep, Good Counsel, Liberty and Mililani from Hawaii. That's a pretty good, 5-week stretch. And then you have to go through our league, and the Trinity League is, one of the toughest leagues in the country. And, in our showcase, we were 3 for 3 in those games. Mater Dei beating St. Francis, J. Sarah beat Milton, and we beat Good Counsel. So it kind of showed our league against some other top teams in the country. And then going into the playoffs where you have to play teams, like Corona Centennial or Oaks Christian and people like that, it's certainly no joke. And then you have to finish it off by beating one of the most historical programs in the history of high school football, De La Salle. So to be able to go through that schedule and to be able to avenge the loss to Mater Dei and to come out on top with a CIF championship and a state title, it certainly put us in the conversation for a national title. And I don't think you could dispute who we played that we were probably the top ranked team in the country.
No, my algorithm said it was. In fact, I remember texting you that night. I gave you a little bit of a preview to what was about to happen the next day. Yeah. But I tend not to show any kind of preferential treatment. But as I said, you're a class act, and I just felt so much pride for you and what you put into that, and your staff and the kids and the community there. It was just a great thing. And before we start looking ahead, we watch all the major league professional teams, right? They get those big parades and all that. You guys even held one. What was that like? I saw some video of all that. That had to be a whole lot of fun.
It was amazing. The city of Bellflower reached out for us. It's a very proud community. We're kind of in southeast LA area, kind of in between LA and Orange County, and we're a very proud community. And I think the city did an amazing job by setting it up, and they had a lot of distinguished people in attendance. And we basically started at City Hall and got on a bunch of different types of makeshift floats and came down Bellflower Boulevard, which we happen, St. John Bosco just happens to be on Bellflower Boulevard, which is the main drag down the city. And when we got to about a block away from school, the entire student body, our faculty, our families, and everybody lined the street. And then we pulled into campus, and everybody kind of filed into the stadium, and we had, a stage set up in the middle of the stadium, and we just had an amazing celebration. And it was a time for us to be able to kind of thank a lot of people and just show everybody how appreciative we were as a program to have as much support as we did. But it wasn't millions of people there, but it was pretty good. And I think we had a pretty good showing for a little school from Bellflower.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jason Negro on the line. St. John Bosco, the defending now mythical national champs in all the national ranking services across the board, which was really, really great. And you mentioned that you were rubbing it in that you're sitting out back in beautiful Southern California weather. It's raining here in Atlanta as I tape this, but let's talk a little bit about it. I think. But I'm going to do two things at once. It looks like you're now a YouTube star, and we'll get to that question in a second. But you were talking yesterday on your, because I watch it, by the way. I see you doing a nice job there. Yeah. You might have a career as an actor after this. You're in Hollywood after all. But my question is this: spring ball was supposed to start, and you talked about being bummed, and certainly safety is first here. I mean, we're joking a lot and having fun to take people's thoughts off of it. But I mean, how disappointing is it right now to know that, we could be playing a little football, which would take our minds off of it, but again, safety first?
Yeah, without question. I mean, here we're sitting on a Thursday at 2:40 my time, and we'd probably be in meetings or in the weight room right now getting ready for our 4th day of spring practice. And, it's super disappointing. You feel bad, obviously, for the kids. You feel bad for the communities, and you feel bad for all these people that have put in so much time, effort, and energy to try to prepare something. I mean, we've done a lot of work since January to kind of put us in position to have a great spring practice and try to go make another run at this. And then the rug was kind of pulled out from underneath us. But at the end of the day, it is about safety. It's about taking care of our young men and making sure that they're okay, because, you know, high school football is just a very small piece of the grand scheme of life. And I think our kids are going to learn something out of this. And the number one thing is they're going to learn to appreciate what they have. Mm-hmm. You know, we constantly talk about at the end of practice, hey, man, you know, you can't get that practice back. Did you practice as hard as you possibly could? You know, now that message is going to resonate with all of our guys. They're going to be able to say, man, how quickly can it get pulled away? If you want to know, just go ask the spring sport kids and ask them, you know, what their feelings are, if they would like to have one more practice or one more game. Something like that. So it is difficult. It's a frustrating situation, but I think that we as a country, and I know us here in the state of California, have done an amazing job of heeding to the orders of our governor and our state officials. And we're staying home and we're getting healthy, and we're going to be able to take a crack at this real soon. So I'm excited about what's in store for the future.
Yeah, well, as I've been saying, if you haven't heard any of my podcast, I'm Mr. Positive, Mr. Manifest. I believe there will be a season. And Coach, you know, you said something there about, you know, learning about yourself. And one of the questions I've been asking all of the coaches here on the podcast, what have you learned about yourself during this time? And I'm not talking about being the X and O guy with the big whistle and all that. What have you learned about yourself through COVID-19?
I think I've learned a whole lot about perspective, you know, just kind of where you're at and you know, the point of view of which you're viewing things and realizing, you know, how quickly things can be taken away. And then on the, you know, to add on to that, I think another thing that I've learned is a whole lot of patience. You know, I mean, you know, I'm in a leadership position, so I have to be patient. I can't show how frustrated I am. I have a group of kids and coaches that are looking for me for advice and to try to bring a little positivity. And I think that's what we're trying to do in our program is trying to stay in contact with our kids, trying to stay in contact with my coaches, and trying to put a plan together that's going to be, you know, feasible for us to be able to return, you know, in a manner to where we are going to have a season and things like that. So in terms of me internally, I would have to say I've gained a lot of perspective on how fortunate I am to have this particular job that I have, because it's special. Being a high school football coach is probably one of the greatest professions you could possibly have. And then I've learned a lot of patience. And I think that when we do return, I'm just going to appreciate things just a little bit more. I'm going to appreciate walking out onto the field, having an opportunity to stand in front of those kids and talk to them about the daily lessons or what we're trying to accomplish. And I cannot wait to be able to have our first practice and give a little speech at the end and tell them, hey, fellas, how lucky are we to be back here? And don't ever take things for granted. So those are going to be some important messages. And I've already planned on some of those things I'm going to tell my guys.
Yeah, how good will it feel? Jason Negro is on the line. St. John Bosco, the High School Football America mythical national champs. They were across the board on every ranking service, which was great. And folks out there listening, and I know there's a lot of Bosco fans out there. I know a little bit more about you than most because I had your wife on the podcast years ago, and she shared some little secrets during that podcast, of course, and obviously we always tout how much women, the wives, mean, the girlfriends or the wives, depending what the case is, to a coach's success and all that. So I'm just going to ask this because it's kind of a funny question. What's it going to be like the first time you walk back into Disneyland? Because I know you like that.
Yeah, you know what? It is killing us. I mean, we're annual pass holders. We have annual passes, and every time we get a notification from Disneyland saying that they're going to extend our pass as long as this thing keeps going, it's just glorious because I have two daughters, so being a football coach with daughters, I don't have any sons. It's just a time for me to be able to spend with my family. They really enjoy it. It's a time for me to kind of get away and mentally escape, from the daily grind of trying to be a football coach and all the expectations that we have as a program. And, trying to meet those expectations isn't always easy. So to have an outlet like that, and God bless for the Disney Plus channel, that has helped us here in the Negro house a little bit. But you're right. I mean, to be able to step foot back into public place like that is going to be very, very sweet, for us to be able to enjoy. And I'm looking forward to that. I can tell you that.
Well, it's taken me several. You got to give me some credit. I could have worked that one in really, really quickly, but I let it hang for about 4 years before I brought it back around. Jason Negro was on the line. St. John Bosco, what a program he's built out there, and he's just done a marvelous job. It's his alma mater, and I joked about the YouTube thing. So what are we all doing here? We're cooking more. We're staying away from people more. But I noticed, like I said, if this coaching thing doesn't work out for you, you might have a job as an actor. I'll put up some links for the people that see the story on highschoolfootballamerica.com. But what are you doing for the Brave Nation there to keep them their thirst quenched for Jason Negro, what he's doing?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is it kind of started as a joke. When your profession is pretty much taken away from you, then all of a sudden you have to kind of tap into your unused resources or your kind of your hidden talents. So, I was at school one day and I opened the door to my equipment room and I really hadn't spent a whole lot of time in there since our last game. And I started thinking, man, wonder if I can create some content that might be interesting, that's not necessarily football related, but it's going to give the people an opportunity to kind of see a little bit behind the scenes. So I communicated with my operations manager, Jessie. You've met her before and know the impact. Yeah, she's amazing. So to see the kind of ran some things by her, and we started to brainstorm a little bit on some content and what we can do, just to try to provide a little bit of humor, a little bit of normalcy to our community, and give them an opportunity to see our campus in a different light. So basically what I do is I kind of walk around campus when I'm there because I do have to go in. I mean, a football coach still has some essential things that need to be done between now and summer leading into the fall. So there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and I'm working by myself. So I go in and then, her and I have kind of come up with some ideas and things like that. So I put all the stuff together and I'll get it. I'll send it all over and she works with her editing crew and gets it all taken care of and puts it all, puts it all in the video, and then we kind of post it, and we've gotten a lot of positive responses for it. I'm trying to do something different. It seems like everybody's putting a challenge out there for this or that. And, that's not what I wanted to do. I just basically wanted to tell a little bit of the history and some stories about Bosco football and our school as a whole. And it's being very effective, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback. So if we're providing a little bit of, happy content for people, it's something that I'm really excited about, and we're going to continue doing. Episode 4 is coming up, so stay tuned.
I love it. Well, having been a person that since he was 14 years old has been behind a microphone or in front of the camera, I'm going to ask you the real question that we all have to deal with. Do you like your voice? Do you like the way you look? I mean, come on, critique yourself here. How good are you?
No, you know what? I don't like the way that I look, or I don't like the way that I sound. I absolutely hate it. That's why I don't do any of the editing. I just do it and I send it, and I let her cut it all up and do that. And if you notice, a lot of the video is from the neck up because this has been a very gluttonous time for us here since we're sitting at home. Not a whole lot of activity, just a lot of eating. So a lot of the content is neck up. So trying to keep my chin up high and making sure people can see just limited sights of me. But it's been fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm getting a lot of, like I said, positive feedback from it, and people are asking for more. So we're going to continue to provide content. And then we'll see where it goes, and maybe I'll get some sponsors out of this and help pay for all this nonsense.
There you go. And you can always FaceTime Trish, and she'll help you out with your makeup if you need any, contouring, and, you can do makeup things, and you can look a little bit thinner. I try it all the time because I could use a pound or 3 off. But anyway, Jason Negro on the line. We're having a lot of fun here tonight, and obviously a serious situation out here. But as I've been telling everybody over the last month, Jason, this podcast is meant to take our minds off, at least for a few minutes, of what's going on out there. We do know the seriousness of it, and you've had all this time to think, and I would think one of the biggest questions you're going to get, and you've had to do this in the past because you've had some decent quarterbacks there at St. John Bosco. You got a little hole there, right? You probably had some time to think about it. The people around the nation probably want to know, who's the next great quarterback out of St. John Bosco? Do you have anybody knocking on the door for number one this early?
Well, you know what? I think that's probably one of the most difficult things that we're facing right now as a staff is We know from a mental standpoint that our kids are not missing a beat. I mean, our coach and our quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, Stephen Lowe, has been having our normal installation meetings with our quarterbacks. And basically it's been kind of a blessing for us because we can do a lot of teaching because we obviously have a lot of time on our hands. So from the teaching standpoint, our kids are going to probably be well ahead of where we would have been in the past, even with the returning quarterbacks, because they can focus on just football right now. It's not like there's a whole lot of distractions. There's no other second sport going on right now in terms of monopolizing some of their time. And, the schooling obviously is cut down a little bit from what it is when you're normally going into classes. So we're going to use it as an advantage. And our kids have done a really good job of becoming present every single one of these meetings. We have about 6 or 7 kids right now that are going to compete for the job. We do not have a front runner. I mean, we obviously have kids that have varying talent levels, but there's a lot of intangibles that go into it as well. And, to try to replace a DJ, a Josh Rosen, a Quentin Davis, a Real Mitchell is not easy, and we've had, like you said, some really good guys over the last, 6-7 years that I've been the head coach at St. John Bosco. And for the next guy, he certainly has some enormous shoes to fill. And part of me is like, gosh, I feel bad for the guy that's got to step in and take the first step after DJ. But our kids are challenged and they're competitive. And that's one of the things I really like about this group is they all have stepped up. They all want to be the next guy, regardless of their abilities and things like that, knowing that they're probably not all 5-star guys, but you don't need to be. If you just do your job and you're coachable, and you're effective in what we ask you to do in our system, we're going to be really talented in so many different areas that our quarterbacks are not going to miss a beat. Our production offensively, we expect it to be just what it was in the past. And we know that there's only so many yards that you can gain and so many points you can gain in a 48-minute period. So as long as we're competitive and we're protecting the football and getting it to our playmakers, because we certainly have a lot of those, I think we're going to be super successful. So the quarterback position is not as scary a situation for me and my staff as it might be to the public.
Yeah, no, and you've said that from day one when I met you back in 2012. System, and all you got to do is make sure you know what the system is, and you got some good support around. So let's talk about some of those kids. I know it's early. I know you're not in spring ball and all that, but who are some of the kids you expect things from, not only on the field but in that leadership role, which I know is key for you?
That's going to be interesting, and I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for our program right now is from a leadership standpoint, and part of it is the fact that we lost some incredible people, losing DJ, losing Court Williams, Logan Loya, some of those guys like that, Kobe Pepe. I mean, there's so many kids that we lost. Drake Metcalf's another one that comes to mind. I mean, I could go on and on about the 36 seniors that we're losing off of this football team, but, we've built a culture, and hopefully that culture is able to, disseminate down to the younger guys, and they understand what the expectations are. And now the seniors that are stepping up in that role are going to have, again, big shoes to fill, and they're going to have a responsibility like no other, because they've had an additional challenge placed upon them. They haven't been able to develop, team chemistry or leadership, role right now because everyone's isolated. Everybody's at home. We're not around each other, and they can't go out there on the field and lead by example or say those magical words at the end of a workout about, how important it is to be lifting hard in March and April because it's going to prepare us for games in November and December. So this group, I'm actually going to be really surprised to see how they're able to step up and how they're going to be able to refine and kind of adapt or alter their leadership abilities, because it's going to be challenging. And I'm super excited about that because as a coach, you always want to find challenging moments and opportunities to get better and opportunities to display how you can, adjust and adapt as an individual. So one thing that we're going to do is we're going to have, starting next week, part of our spring ball is going to be a senior only meeting with myself and our seniors, and we'll all get on a video together and we'll all talk about, the challenges that we're going to, have moving forward. And once we do come back, how we can establish that chemistry and the ability for us to become a team, and certainly going to be fun and exciting. And I think the teams and the coaching staffs that are able to do it the best are going to be the most successful come the fall.
Yeah, and you're going to see leadership But, kids know the technology, right? Probably more so than the old guy coaches and all that. So I keep saying to all the coaches, you may be seeing some kids that really step up that you may not have known just because they're technologically sound. Talking with Jason Negro, he is the head coach at St. John Bosco and a budding YouTube star. As we move through toward the end of the conversation here, and we appreciate Coach taking the time out of his busy, sun-soaked schedule at this point, I guess. But anyway, and I respect you, and we've already announced some of the big games you have, the interstate games, and I know you're also kind of confined by that. But in addition to the Trinity League, which we know is rock solid, I don't know what you can tell me as far as who's there. We've got it there, but I don't want to put you in a position. But you've got a pretty good non-league schedule. Let's put it that way. What are you looking forward to on it?
We're really excited. And the hard part about the non-league schedule for us right now going into the 2020 season is we just don't know, when we're going to be able to start. And the thing that's going to be super difficult for us, since we are going to probably have to play, 4 or 5 games with out-of-state opponents, is I think every state's going to be on their own timeline. And I don't know how travel is going to be affected. I mean, here we sit in April, and like you said, I'm sitting in my backyard, and it's nice and sunny, and everything seems great. But there might be travel restrictions, and school districts might not allow people to travel and get on airplanes, and you may not be able to stay in hotels. And so there's going to be a lot of challenges. And I think right now, our schedule is a little organic. We've got some teams scheduled, and some teams kind of penciled in, and we're just kind of playing the waiting game. So I do know that we will have a competitive schedule. We're going to play a national schedule like we normally do. That's one thing at St. John Bosco is we're not going to, shy away from competition. I'm not afraid to go out and challenge ourselves in tough cities and tough states to go try to see how talented of a football team we are, regardless of what we have coming back or what left our program. I'm not afraid to lose games. We're going to go out there and be competitive. We're going to battle. We're going to fight. And at the end of the day, if you want to be a national champion, you need to go play those people and you need to go win games and put your kids in position. And that's what our kids want. And that's what they aspire to have at our school. And that's the reason why we're going to continue to give them those opportunities and lay it on the line and let it go. And that's what we're going to do. And hopefully we'll get a little bit more clarity as we move through the next couple of months to where we can establish what our schedule is going to be. And then we can release it to the public and get some people excited, because I guarantee you there's some matchups that people are going to kind of shake their head about.
The little flies on the wall told me, so we've got a couple up there anyway. I'm excited to see what it is, but again, I respect you too much to put you in that position. 2 questions before we go away. What do you think it's going to take to get to the point where we're going to have where kids can get out there and start practicing and doing the things that they need to do to be ready for a season? And I know that's probably a question above your pay grade as a coach, but I mean, what do you think about that? Is that a fair question to throw to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very fair question. And, if you were to ask me, I would say, hey, look, let's get back out on the field. Let's go, but I'm not a medical professional and I don't pretend to be one. So I think what I'm going to do, obviously, is I'm going to defer to the professionals, and I'm going to sit there and listen to what they have. We're going to continue to operate with safe measures and to try to communicate with our kids on what it's going to take for us to get back sooner than later. So the biggest thing is I want to make sure, again, that I'm keeping the health and the safety of my players and my staff at the forefront. But I think, one of the things that we have discussed, especially with my coordinators, is when we are able to come back, and however that does look, how are we going to approach it? Because these kids have been sitting around, they haven't been doing a whole lot. And then all of a sudden you have to be very careful with how you're, breaking them in, so to speak, because you certainly don't want to, blow it out of the water and go 100% from day one, because you're going to get kids hurt, and that's going to affect their season too. So there's a lot of science that's going to go into it. We're researching it a lot. We're spending some time, communicating with the collegiate coaches and their strength and conditioning programs to find out what it's going to look like when we come back and how we're going to be able to alter our practices in the best interest of our kids. So, like I said, it's a science. We're learning. It's an educational, opportunity for us to get better. And we're certainly using all the resources that we have at Bosco, and the reputation that we have across the country to try to put our kids in the best position possible when we do return.
Yep, safety first. Jason Negro on the line, St. John Bosco. One more question for you, Coach, and I know you won't duck this one either. I mean, there are places, especially the warmer weather places, the states where football is A, important, and B, can be played in a January or a February. I'm just wondering, A, what you think about that, and B, how that impacts, as you stated earlier, like with all these, these spring sport kids that are just being, excuse my language, screwed out of out of maybe the last game and all that. How do you feel about that? How, if you could do it, and how you would feel about the other coaches that are going to be affected dramatically by the fact that football could be played in January, February, whatever?
Sure. I think, everybody knows football is kind of the leading force behind all sports in America. I mean, I think it's the largest participated game. It's the one that's most popular, and people certainly want to see that being played no matter what time it is. And as a coach, selfishly, I would say, I don't care. I'll play in January, February, March. It doesn't matter to me. Just give us enough time to be able to prepare, give us the resources that we need in the stadium, and we'll go play. But I will tell you this, that I definitely don't want to infringe on my colleagues, and I don't want to affect their seasons because mine might just feel like it's a little bit more important than theirs. I think that when you're on a school and you talk about being a team and you talk about being a community, that you all have to do your part to be respectful for everybody. And I certainly would not want to see football blend into basketball season, which might affect our basketball coaches or our soccer programs, wrestling. And then I definitely don't want our season to have to, push into the spring to where our baseball program, track and field, and things like that are going to be affected because the kids are going to stay in football because that might be their primary sport. So at the end of the day, again, I'm going to let the people that make a little bit more money than me and have a little bit better opportunity to make decisions, make those decisions, and we're just going to roll with it. One thing we won't do at Bosco is we're not going to make excuses. We're not going to, play the blame game. We're not going to make excuses if we come out and we stink in our first 5 weeks and we're limping going into league and things like that. That's not something that we're going to do. We're going to be a competitive group. We're going to continue to work hard to try to provide the best possible football platform that we can at our school and give our kids an opportunity to display their talents so they can continue to move on to the next level. And we're going to be competitive, and we're going to fight in every single game that we have. So however that looks come the fall, winter, or even spring, when those challenges arise, I guess one thing I will tell you is St. John Bosco High School and our football program will rise to the occasion.
I have no doubt about that. Well, Coach, I know you're getting ready for a coaching meeting there, the new style, Zoom or whatever you're using. But I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, especially now that you're a coach and a YouTube star. And I just, again, want you guys to stay safe and healthy out there, and look forward to the time when we can talk about what happened on the field rather than what's going on off the field. And stay safe, and thank you for your friendship.
Absolutely, Jeff. I really appreciate it. It's good to hear your voice. Tell Trish I said hello. You guys stay safe at home. Enjoy your meals and time together. And before you know it, we'll be able to get out there and have a lot of fun and be able to get our lives back. And I want to thank everybody in the country, for setting up all these different types of coaching clinics and conferences and podcasts and things like that. Because, having the opportunity to learn from some really talented people has been fun over the last, month and a half. So it's a great new normal, but we're going to continue doing what we're doing. And like you said, we'll get ready for the fall. And when we do, we're going to hit the ground running.
Make sure you keep up with all the news throughout the day from around the nation by following us on all of our social media platforms. Twitter, we have 17,600 followers. Thank you for that. Our handle there is HSFB America. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/High School Football America. And our handle on Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn is also High School Football America. The High School Football America podcast is brought to you by GameStrat, America's premier sideline instant replay system, and it has outstanding reliability and great customer service. Plus, it has different plans priced right for every coach's budget. To get a demo, go to GameStrat.com or click on the GameStrat banner ad located on every page of HighSchoolFootballAmerica.com. I'm Jeff Fisher, and you've been listening to the High School Football America podcast.